So it's not uncommon at all in non-league for teams to bring in non-contract players or players on 1 month loans or short-term loans to cover for injuries, because in non-league to have 2 players for every position is a real luxury. And there's pretty much not many teams in the league that have that. Only right at the top, the teams that have got the most money have that. But with less than 6 months played, this 8th tier side have used a total of 11 different goalkeepers already. Crazy situation that's going on at Dunstable Town. We'll find out about it all. Bit of an interesting situation, so let's get straight into it. So last season, you may remember I made a video about Dunstable Town. They're a team that were in the 7th tier last season with a budget of £0. That's because over the previous 5 years, they've gone up 2 leagues. They've overspent. Their previous owners have completely not got the budgets right, and they've spent far too much money. And as a legacy of this, they've had to cut the budget back because they're on the lowest average attendances last season in the entirety of the 7th tier, of only just over 100. And as the stadium is owned by the council, all of the money that comes into the club via the bar, it all goes straight to the council. So this club has such a low income. And despite the low budget, Tony McCall, who's been their manager since the start of last season, he's actually put a real emphasis on youth development. He's previously worked in the academies at the likes of Norwich and Luton, so he's got a lot of experience developing young players. And he decided that he was going to implement this style of good football, and it's got some players moved up to higher levels. There's been 3 players in the last 18 months that have moved up to professional football. One of the most notable ones is Peter Kioso, who's one of the top players in Hartlepool's team in the National League, which before signing for them, he was playing for free at Dunstable. And this season so far, Dunstable have used 15 different players from their development squad in their first team, and in some cases as many as 10 players from the development team in the first team squad at once. It's good to see these players are being given an opportunity, but it's essentially coming because the club can't afford to bring in more experienced players, so their only option is to utilise these development squad players. So last season they finished bottom of the table in the Southern League Premier Division and got relegated down to the 8th tier, now the Southern League Division 1 Central. And despite the lack of a budget, they're actually not even bottom of the table, which is a fantastic achievement, and they're on course to avoid relegation. And this all comes with them playing numerous players that are injured and playing a total of 11 different players in goal, which includes some outfield players as goalkeepers for full 90-minute matches. The fact that they could avoid relegation is absolutely phenomenal. They've spent the whole season playing a number of goalkeepers. The most recent situation with goalkeepers that they've had is on the 10th of January when West Ham rang the club asking to take one of their goalkeepers off them. They wanted to have a look at them, they wanted to play him in a match on that Saturday following, which left McCall with just one goalkeeper at the club. He's a 16-year-old, he didn't want to throw him into that situation, so he decided to play his striker, Charlie Black, in goal. It's a situation that they're totally used to, having played a total of 11 goalkeepers this season so far. McCall also said that he's actually had players playing through injuries on a frequent basis. In one game they had a total of 9 players who really shouldn't have been playing that were actually injured, but they had to play because they just didn't have anyone else that they could play. Unfortunately, on Saturday the 13th of January, McCall actually announced that he was going to resign as manager from the club. Now this comes because he's actually received abuse. It's absolutely terrible to see a man that is literally giving everything for this club. He said in a statement that all of the assets of the club are in the boot of his car. Yeah, because there's no stadium, because they don't get any take-ins from the bar, he is that football club at the moment. And it's so sad to see that he's going. Where do they go from this point? I'm not really too sure. He spoke about the toxic undercurrents that are currently trying to destabilise the club. And recently he's had to listen to ridiculous, unrealistic comments where people consider the club to be like it was and don't understand how close the club was/is to going out of business. He went on to say that when we recently won 2 games back-to-back against all odds, we didn't hear from anyone. It seems like people ready to jump on it as part of some ulterior motive. It's unfair on the players and staff considering what we all put in. This is something really that is a big part of football. It's just a factor of life in football that there are people who, when things are going well, are totally silent, and when things start to go bad, they come out and they say stuff that are controversial, they complain, they moan, because that's just what they kind of get satisfaction of. People will go on social media, people will go to matches and just shout abuse because they enjoy it and there's nothing that you can do about it. It is a really sad reality of football, and one that really I think is overlooked by fans. And I know that fans have their entitlement to an opinion. If they pay their money to go to a game, then they have that entitlement to an opinion. But the fact is that if somebody else came into your place of work and just completely obliterated, completely abused everything, said how terrible it was, that would be pretty horrible to listen to. But anyway, that's just my opinion, and it seems like McCall has got this same sort of opinion. It's really sad to see that fans and people outside of the club can just force such a negative atmosphere on a football club. And it happens when people lose games, when teams have negative things happening. Fans have got to stick together, especially at non-league level where it's all about community and you've got to really stick together with your football club. It's such an important thing, in my opinion, that you back your club even when things aren't going well. But it seems like it's really got on the nerves of McCall and he's had to leave because of it. And he's certainly not the first one to do this, and he certainly won't be the last. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this whole situation in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. And yeah, I hope you see you next video, and thanks for watching.